Today's t-shirt is being brought to you by The Simpsons. Some of you may not be old enough to remember the phenomenon that was The Simpsons. Sure, everyone knows of The Simpsons, the same way that the younger generation may know of Michael Jordan, but can't really connect to why he's regarded as the GOAT. Yes, you can watch clips or maybe even episodes on YouTube, but it's one of those things that you had to be there to fully experience to really understand. I'm talking about one of the most controversial cartoons of the 90s. I was a fourth grader in 1990. I remember that without even thinking about it because my family had a house fire and we were displaced that year. And The Simpsons was a fresh, edgy cartoon that people weren't sure that kids should be watching just because of some wild content. It was basically the Family Guy of its day. That felt disrespectful even saying that. I mean, it's one of the longest running shows ever, and it pretty much paved the way for every animated show in primetime that came on after it. South Park, Beavis and Butthead, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill, you name it. That year in fourth grade, I talked about it so much to my friends in school that even my fourth grade teacher, who was adamant that it was inappropriate for children, told my parents in a parent-teacher conference that I shouldn't be watching it. My dad was an old soul, so even though he wasn't even 30 yet in 1990, he raised us with the fervor of a parent from the 70s. So it wouldn't have even mattered if it were not as bad as she described. Kids just didn't get a say in how they were raised back then. So because she said that I shouldn't be watching it, I couldn't watch it no more. Or rather, I couldn't get caught watching it. But of course, like any other church kid worth their salt, I mastered the art of the loophole and I watched it whenever I got a chance. But the point is, the way that people reacted to The Simpsons, you would have thought that it was a rated R movie every week. So depending on what side of the decline of morality argument you're on, The Simpsons could be considered the greatest animated show of all time. One reason for that was because of the cartoon within the cartoon. Bart Simpson watched the Krusty the Clown show, which aired a cartoon called Itchy and Scratchy. The Itchy and Scratchy Show. So I guess it was like a show within a show within a show. The kids like that type of irony nowadays. Yeah, they do. Itchy and Scratchy was one of the most violent cartoons we'd ever seen up to that point. Before that, it was all Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, or Bugs Bunny getting the best of Elmer Fudd during hunting season. I guess because they weren't showing blood, that it was okay to just, push people off of cliffs and blow them up with dynamite, right? During the time of the Gulf War, which they aired every day on the news. But sure, The Simpsons was horrible. The Simpsons were a progressive show, so at the time, everything that they were doing was like next level, constantly pushing the envelope. It was like the Flintstones on steroids, so the same had to go for Itchy and Scratchy. I always felt like Itchy and Scratchy was like an updated version of Tom and Jerry. Like some would say that Tom and Jerry was clean comedy, but fam. First of all, it came out in the 1940s and aired episodes in which Tom got burned, stabbed, and even died and sent to heaven. So Itchy and Scratchy leveled up and displayed some blood and bone. But you get what I'm saying. It was a continuation, or rather a progression of where cartoons were and where they were going. Cartoon violence was literally always in our faces. This chair is determined to kill my brother. Everything evolves in life, even if it goes in a direction that we don't want it to go. So I always felt that they could argue against what it had become, but it was only able to become that because of the seeds that they'd already planted throughout the decades. You don't get to laud Warner Brothers for Looney Tunes, but then scathe Matt Groening for The Simpsons. That's not how this works. Sure, we've become desensitized to things on TV, but the people who started it can't be absolved, and neither can we. If cancel culture has taught us anything, it's that our own self-censorship can ultimately control what these networks put on. Because if we don't watch it, then they lose viewership, which also makes them lose advertising dollars. And that usually affects what stays on the air and what doesn't. So when we start having those, it's a shame what they put on TV these days conversations, we have to remember to grab a plate and take our slice of the blame for what's happening. Peace one time for Itchy and Scratchy, probably the most deserving characters ever in a show to never get a solo spinoff. Yeah, this dope. We got a thing on the back. I'm gonna just sit here so y'all can see the thing. The thing is thinging right now. Just look at the thing. I'm seeing like that little sub thing just makes the t-shirt even doper. You know what I'm saying? That good itchy and Scratchy. Yep.